My name is Aaron Michael McClaskey. I am a last semester master's student in the English and Linguistics program. Right, so how would I describe English as a major? English as a major has quite a few tracks here. You can focus on literature, or you can focus on writing, or you can focus on linguistics. So it's sort of set up to help you test what areas of English you're into. Like if you prefer reading, you can go with the literature track. If writing is more your speed, you can look into like fiction, poetry, creative nonfiction, technical writing, rhet comp, all sorts of tracks like that. It's sort of set up in a way where you come into the program and you sort of see where your skill set is and where your passions are, and as you move through the program, as you meet faculty, as you try different courses, some of which are integrated with other disciplines like women's studies, you sort of hone in on what you're about and where either your writing is going, where your academic interests are, where your career interests are. And, by the time you're done with your undergrad, and you're ready to graduate, you have a pretty clear idea of not only where you're going, but also where you've been academically. So what can you do with an English degree? It's kind of hokey, but my really sarcastic response would be like, what can't you do with an English degree, right? So sort of like the common trope is that if you major in English, you're either going to end up like teaching, or you're going to end up like brewing coffee at Starbucks, right? And while I have plenty of friends that are baristas and they make great coffee, there is so much more you can do with an English degree that people don't realize. For example, like I know even here in Fort Wayne in Northeast Indiana, there is a real shortage of competent, educated, capable writers in the workforce. There are a lot of folks doing a lot of good work, but there are also a lot of job postings calling for people that, know their way around the written word and how to apply what they learn in the English program to, marketing, to PR, content strategy, even stuff like, HR and corporate communications and things like that. If you want to write, or if you want to move on to like a library sciences degree, or if you want to do something where you stay either in academia, or if you stay close to the publishing industry, there's tons of tracks and tons of ways to make your degree work for those kinds of careers. But I think it's also super important to dispel with the myth that either you're going to end up in front of the classroom or like behind the coffee shop bar top, right? When I was applying for my internship at Facebook, it came up like they actually were super interested in my academic history, more so than my professional history. And, they asked about like faculty mentors and what I'd learned from them and how specifically they'd affected me and things like that. But I remember, one thing came up where I talked that, I spent a lot of time in the fiction workshops in my undergrad and now poetry in grad school. And they asked me, what do you think you can take from the workshop and apply it to, say, like a content strategy role at Facebook? Right. And like the example I came up with was Marianne Kane and George Calamaris and Curtis Chrysler. I know a bunch of our faculty use it. But the observe, interpret, evaluate method of reading like a poem or a piece of writing, I kind of like ran through that setup with them, and I could tell they were like super excited about it. Like they were like, this is a really cool way of approaching, whether it's a poem or whether it's like, how do we talk about happy birthday messages on social media? Like you can apply it to tons of different stuff. So when I first started off, I actually wasn't an English major. When I first came to IPFW, I tried out philosophy, I tried out visual communication and design, but I've been writing for as long as I could remember. I knew that no matter what I ended up doing, I was interested in using words to pay my rent. And so, eventually I found my way back home to the English department. Sort of corollary to that, as I was an undergrad, I got involved with our marketing communications office here on campus. I first started off as a student worker, working for the web team, doing content inventory, content editing, that sort of thing. And after a brief stint down at IU Bloomington, I came back and I got my job back here as an editorial assistant with the marketing office. And that student position sort of helped me realize that there was more to an English degree than, writing in my little black Moleskine. And I started to learn more about web writing, content writing, marketing principles in general. And I really, really enjoyed the work, and it was fun to get, that sort of extra layer of integration on campus. Like I was engaged with IPFW beyond just coming to class. I guess one thing I'm really proud of is the time I've spent with Confluence. I was good friends with the editor that did the issue before I took it on, and she did an outrageously good job with it, and I was super happy to continue sort of in her footsteps. And I actually oversaw the first fall issue of Confluence in many, many years, I think. So that was pretty cool, and there's now sort of this a little bit more culture built up around the publication on campus. There's a lot more matriculation of underclassmen and undergraduates sticking with the Confluence board and actually sort of assuming ownership as they move up through it, which is pretty cool. Because, I think having a dedicated literary and arts publication on campus, especially on a campus like IPFW, is super important. We have some crazy talented writers, poets, artists, photographers here, and having a venue beyond, Instagram and Snapchat and some other social media feeds that we all follow and we all think it's great, but actually having a dedicated publication, I think, is also really important, just as a way to sort of memorialize that talent. So. I would just say get out of your comfort zone. If you've never written a poem before, take a poetry course. If you, if you're a dedicated writer who has never had a dedicated literature course, try that. Part of the benefit of being in a humanities program at a comprehensive university is your ability to try new things, learn from new folks, and really kind of push yourself to see what you're capable of. Right, so I'm wrapping up my master's degree in December, and I'm actually relocating to Silicon Valley. I was fortunate enough last summer to be invited to do an internship with Facebook's content strategy team, and they extended an invitation for me to come back full time. So once I finish my degree next month, I'm actually headed out to the Bay Area, and I'm going to be working at Facebook as a content strategist, and I am super stoked about it. So it's really exciting. I've been at IPFW for so long and in so many roles and capacities and positions, but as much as I love it here and as much as I'm going to miss the campus and the people I know here, I could not be more excited about where things go from here. So.